quiet on set, y'all, so we can hear the slate. Cool. Right here. Right here. Archie. That's the last one. All right, so we up in 5, 4, 3, 1.
We are back here on Past Season 2, y'all. My name is Jael Benjamin, and I'll be hosting you. But most importantly, I'll be hosting our special guest, Megan Harper. Y'all give it a round of applause.
Hi.
Is it cool if I call you Harper?
That's fine. I feel like you call me Harper all the time.
Absolutely, for sure. Harper, publicist. I mean, from Chicago, but now you're here in LA. Can you talk to us about what was that path? Like, how did you even get from Chicago to LA?
Crazy, so crazy. I was just talking about it this week. I don't think LA was ever my goal. It's just, it's where God put me and moved me during the pandemic. It was just kind of like a leap of faith that I took. And really, there was no plan B. I just leaned on plan A and had to make it work. Didn't really have any other options. Came here from Houston. I graduated from an HBCU called Prairie View A&M University in undergrad. Give it up for our HBCUs. And I just fell in love with Houston, stayed there, worked in radio majority of my life. Years later, I took a break and got my master's in public relations and was like, okay, I want to do the whole PR thing. It's more hands-on, you make a little bit more money. And I just wanted something different, which is okay. As we get older, you learn to accept that, the one thing you dreamed of doing for the rest of your life ends up not being an endpoint, or that the one thing that you're only interested in doing. And so I left radio and was just one day during the pandemic, like, I'm gonna move to LA and start working in the field. And it was just it was really emotions from the pandemic, being in the house and like just really getting bored with everything and unhappy and emotional. And I called my friends that I remember meeting throughout college and internships, and I knew that they had already been in LA and successful in what they did. And I was like, I'm at an endpoint where I am now and I need to come to LA. And they were like, come. And I had just been talking about it, like, yeah, I'm gonna come. And I think like 8 months went by and I did not. And I came and I had two friends. One was acting, she acts out here. She's Taylor Polidor. And she is in like Snowfall, a lot more other things I can't even think of right now, but that's like my road dog. And a friend, Cameron, who was a pilot at the time, and they came to Houston. They drove my car down with me, 21 hours, and I packed my car up with what I could fit, and I moved to LA. And I didn't even sign my lease in my apartment until I got down here. And it was a culture shock, and it was just a shock as a whole. I never seen apartments so small. I never seen apartments so small and so expensive. I'm like, goodness, we're paying all this for just this. I remember giving away stuff on the spot because my couch was too big. Little things that like I used my first credit card for. I had to get rid of. Life really happened really quickly when I got to LA. And now almost 3 years later, it's like one of the best decisions I've made thus far. Very risky every day, still to this moment. A lot of growing pains. A lot of things throughout work experiences and meeting people that really, it was more of life lessons than it was professional lessons and learning. And yeah, that brought me to like BET. I was working at BET Plus first when I got out here in social. That was just my way in the door. And that's just something else I had to learn. You just, first things first is getting your foot in the door. You're not gonna be, in that position or role that you came out here for Like, you're in a city of around a bunch of big dogs. You're not the only hungry one. You know, everybody got to eat at the end of the day. And it really just polished up the hustle mentality in me. I'm from Chicago originally, so like, you know, it's just that's plan A, and you follow through with it, and that's really it. And I'm only the second person in my family that graduated and really saw past Chicago. And so like, there was no like going back. There was no, you know, if this doesn't work out, I can go back to my mom's house. That was definitely not an option. It would be times I was like, even before coming to LA, I thought New York was it for me. And I remember 6 months being on my friend's couch doing contract work. You know, so like New York and LA just really like built me and to the person I am now. You know, you learn to be a lot more patient and a lot more present. You learn how to set boundaries, things that college teaches you, but like life teaches you a little bit more after that. And then after BET, got to an agency, a little bit more work towards the role that I actually wanted in publicity and film and TV. And this was like, okay, I don't work as hard as I thought I did. You know, I'm at an agency and it's like 5 people to 20, 30 titles. And when I say titles, I mean TV shows, documentaries. So I'm the agency with like maybe 6 other people, Publicist, and our clients are Hulu, Amazon Prime, Peacock, BET+, and they're paying us when they start, for example, a show called Snowfall, and they have their talent and they want us to get press. Press is basically get their talent to promote their show, their new upcoming season. Maybe this is this talent's first gig, and you know, they want radio interviews, they want print, they want magazine covers, they want commercials, they want to be at this festival that's coming up, recognized for their show that's coming out in the fall or whatever. And so as in Publicist, that's my job to make sure I show improve on why Hulu or CW should pay us as an agency and publicity team to work for them. You know, so the show part is booking the interviews, making sure they're in New York this week for 2 days. How many interviews can I get for this talent? Radio tour lined up. I'm creating itineraries. I'm booking cars. I'm booking flights. I'm booking hair and makeup, making sure the invoices are paid to these people within 30 days. You know, it's a lot to it. And then after they do those radio tour interviews or TV interviews, you know, I'm showing to the executive producers and to the talent how many interviews. So I'm having to pull those sound bites, creating a doc where like I'm proving this is all the interviews they did on Thursday. This is all the interviews they did, or TV shows they stopped through and, you know, they did on Friday. And that's just really the whole publicity and film and TV game. You know, we're working for Peacock alone, not the agency. We're working with these shows on why they should be on Peacock and not Amazon Prime or Apple TV or, you know, any other network. And so I got to Peacock, and I think working at the agency really taught me how to like hustle. You're in a short-staffed team, but you're working on 20 plus titles. So, you know, those things that I just listed that I'm doing, I was doing for like 20 shows. And I'm having to like report at end of each day, you know, what is happening? Why are people not talking about our show? Why was it not trending on Twitter? So yeah, then I got to Peacock. And so anybody at a TV network is always impressed with people who work at agencies because you don't have a lot of help. So you already know how to like make ends meet with less help. Or, you know, not all the programs where you can just put in a title and it brings up all the websites or social media platforms that this TV show was talked about. So I get to Peacock, and this is where it was like, okay, now we're kind of like at the big dogs, but I was the only Black person in the room. And although it could be a little intimidating, but that comes with like experience, putting yourself out there. And working in entertainment, it doesn't matter your position, you are in charge of reading the room. for a lack of words, you have to own and make people let your work speak for itself, you know? So that includes going there early, being the first person there, going on days when it's not required to be in the office, staying late just to really show and stand out. And it gets really tiring, especially in LA, because I feel like it's a never winning game, an ending game. You know, this is a job where you have to want to be there. You can't just work a job out here for real in entertainment, especially, and just want to do the 9 to 5. You got the system. I could do this for 20 years and call it a quit. You know, this is something that you'll be here today and gone tomorrow type deal. You'll have a job, do all the paperwork, no matter how long it takes, and we don't really have time to slack. You know, like you slack, you're replaced literally within that same day.
Wow.
And they'll call you like, I don't really need you to come in tomorrow. And another thing LA has taught me is like everything is really cutthroat, which I appreciate because that's just kind of how I grew up. But, you know, it's ways where like people kind of like, kind of pet us on the back in certain areas, and they're not doing that with people of color. You know, they're almost waiting to build up a doc to show why you shouldn't be in the room. Yeah, and so that's like an everyday thing out here in the work environment. But the great thing about it is once you show and prove and you do what you love, you have no choice but to be respected. And, you know, a lot of us, we don't really work for applause. We do this stuff because we're setting examples for our family. Like we're setting examples for our friends, just to really see and show like, and for ourselves, you know. I look back after having a conversation with friends and Jael this week, and I'm like, never would I thought 3 years later I'd be in LA. I still complain about rent till this day, but I'm still here. And I'm like, I love my job. Like, I don't think I could have did this in Houston. I don't think I could have did this in Chicago, and everywhere else I live. And I was like, you know, God works in mysterious ways. I was doing things I was questionable about, like still working in radio, it really not being challenging. But, you know, I was being persistent and hoping that God would clear my path and make things direct in what I wanted and should be doing in that time.
Yeah. I mean, this is amazing. Like, girl, y'all, Harper just warms my heart with the transparency and keeping it real, right? A lot of times people will promote LA and the LA experience. And not to say that it's a bad one, but being honest, like it does require you to do hard work, to put in the effort and be consistent, right? I'm curious, because it was a lot of pivotal points on the path.
That was a lot.
What does it mean to work in radio? Like, what does the job description, or like, what do you do? What's an average day for a radio personnel?
Well, I wasn't a radio personality. Back in school I was, but that was easy because you just had to be who's who on campus. But working in radio, fresh out of college, oh my God. During college, I worked in radio since I was 9. I was a hustler. I was born a hustler. I was working for free in the background at the Scream Tour B2K concerts in Chicago, sitting up, answering phones, checking the news and weather, preparing the radio personalities sheet of traffic updates, accident reports, car chase. Like I was doing the dirty work at 9. And I got that opportunity because I used to call the radio station over and over and over again. And I asked them to like, can I come up there? And they're like, come up here for what? Like this little girl won't stop calling. And my parents used to take turns picking me up and dropping me off every week. And that's one of my mentors to this day. He was one of the major radio personalities in Chicago. And yeah, he would give me all the dirty work to do, which is like a part-time role and position what people get paid minimum wage to do in radio now. Oh, wow. And that built my resume and connections to like speak up and vouch for me when I actually wanted to do more. Got to college, and in my first internship, I was 17. I was like the youngest freshman. And I remember wanting to intern earlier than I had to. I interned at Radio 1 in Houston, and they kept telling me no, like I had to receive credit in order to intern. And I basically didn't leave until they figured something out and allowed me to come. And that was actually insane. Remind you, I was a new girl. I was a Chicago girl in Houston. They like, who is this girl? She won't leave us alone. But those are the moments that I appreciate Like, I would not accept no for an answer. And I remember my school being 45 minutes away from the radio station. And I also worked in the outlet by the school. That was my gas money to go to and from the radio station because they were not paying me. And radio was fun, like, especially, you know, being that girl working radio in college, you the friend with all the concert tickets. You know, you go to the concerts for free. And then that just built my brand in Houston. For me being a Chicago girl in a different city, like, everybody could say this girl works. You know, like, she doesn't do anything. She always shows up. She's dependable. You know, so like, even when I left radio and went to PR, people were able to vouch for my work ethic. And from there, I left Radio 1, interned a whole bunch of other radio stations throughout college. My last one was, I remember they were bringing The Breakfast Club. Everybody knows The Breakfast Club. They were bringing The Breakfast Club, making it syndicated, bringing it in different cities, and Houston was one of them. I got my first job out of college, board operating and being a producer for the morning show in Houston. That was like the coolest thing ever. I got to build personal relationships with Charlemagne and Envy and Angela and their other producers in different cities, and go to the BET Awards with them and South by Southwest Music Festival. And it just was all like exciting at that time. But when it came to like, okay, I think I want to get married one day. I think I want to have a kid. I can't live this fast life all the time. And I was like, I'm going to go get my master's and do PR. So I'm still working in entertainment, but it's a little bit different pace. I don't have to be at the clubs. I don't have to be at the concerts or show talent a city every time we interview them. But radio was like my best days. Definitely my best days, because any internship, any role or in any industry you work in, you know, it just kind of teaches you the basis of working and holding a job and being responsible, and the importance of being on time, the importance of not being asleep during meetings, paying attention to detail. You know, that's what internships and that first job out of college teaches you. And that's just definitely what it taught me. I remember working the first radio show. I was not paying attention, and we had a dead air moment. Dead air on radio is when you hear like nothing. And that costs radio stations thousands of dollars. Oh, wow. And in that moment, I'm supposed to press some buttons and bring back some sound, and I knew nothing. But I had notes. I was a person of like taking overload of notes, but never going back to them. Yeah. In that moment, thank God I went back to them. Yeah. But we did have like a minute of dead air, and my boss called, and I'm like, I brought it back. Everything's under control. Like, you know, it's just moments like that. Radio was fast. Very, very fast. Yeah. Like, fast.
Yeah. If you could look at the camera and share some affirmations, like this camera, and share some affirmations with the young Chicago aspiring publicist, like, what would you say to her?
To not give up. Like, you know, your best days are ahead of you. Tomorrow's not promised, so you got to make today count. And, you know, you got to work with what you got. It'll always be more. Yeah. You know?
That was great. Yeah.
Thank you.
That just blessed me again. So when you go from radio, right, I think you mentioned something about social. What's the differences or similarities in those two different roles?
Social media was so new, but I was ahead of the game.
Yeah.
I was so ahead of the game. Like, when Instagram and Twitter and MySpace and Facebook, all these social media platforms were coming out, I was the first person on it. I remember taking a class, like, learning how to code, and I was creating websites and background pages. I just wanted to do everything. Like, I wanted to be needed in every department. And people start getting on Instagram, and I was already up on game. And I was inspired by this lady named Nicole Bitchie. And she was like, not a messy blog then, but she was an entertainment blog who reported everything that was going on everywhere. And then she became like categorized. Like, she started focusing on fashion. And so like social media came about because it was like our news on our phone. It was around the year of like iPhones, and you know, they wanted everything to be in our hand at all times. Yep. And I was like, yeah, y'all got to get a Twitter. Twitter is the new thing. Like, we not on Facebook no more. We on Instagram. Now y'all got to get a Snapchat. We Snapchatted. You know, today, now y'all need to be on Be Real. We need to know what y'all doing at all times. You know, it was just ways to be connected, and I love introducing different platforms to my friend. Made me seem a little cool.
You just introduced me to one. What is Be Real?
Be Real. We need to be on Be Real. Be Real is like, you know, you just really posting what you got going on in that moment. People, it reminds me of my friends having my location on my phone.
Got you.
But they got a picture to put with it.
Got you. So they know exactly like what you're doing
it's
at
like
that exact
going
moment.
to a party, but you don't want to go yet to see if it's lit or not.
Got you. Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, social media it's like keeping up. You know, like I remember even in all other jobs in entertainment, they want to know what social media platforms are you following? How do you get your news? Like, you know, when I was in radio, I had to do a rundown. Complex, Variety, Today, USA Today. Like I needed to know what was going on, not just in my field.
Yeah.
And social media was easy to come. I don't have to go to Google or Yahoo. It was just on a timeline.
Got you. What's 5 platforms that you would say, you know, a young student, maybe high school or middle school, should become familiar with, that you're seeing maybe some traction? And it could be like television and film platforms or just certain networks that they need to tune into.
I feel like high school students and middle school students are way more smarter than we were back in those days.
Thanks.
Like they are so ahead of the game. And Instagram, of course.
Yeah. And
not Facebook. As in high school and middle school. High school, I would say LinkedIn wouldn't hurt. Okay. It wouldn't hurt to start training your mind, to put yourself out there on a place where people are hiring. They're not going through regular HR resume, apply, you know, on the career site anymore. They're pulling talent straight from LinkedIn. Yeah. If I was in middle school or high school right now, I would definitely have a LinkedIn. I would definitely have a Twitter. I would definitely have an Instagram, and I would be extremely careful on what I'm putting out there and what I'm saying and what I'm posting, because that's just something that never goes away. Like, thank God my Twitter got deleted. Middle school, I was just a mess. High school, I was a mess. And if I knew what I knew then, what I know now, I would be careful on what I post. But it's not to not be on those platforms. Yeah. It's to put yourself out there in whatever you're into in that moment, so that you never know who may be looking. That's the thing that, you know, is about social media. Yeah. You need to be on all of it so that you never know who may find you. And literally everybody I know in acting or singing or what, they've been picked up off of social media.
Gotcha.
So like, there's not one or two or 5 just to have. I would be on all of them. And I would be on all of them all day, every day. And mentally and physically, I would cut off at a certain time to choose peace and just kind of be present in everything else in your life.
Yeah. Are there certain classes that a publicist would take to become better at being a publicist? Or is it really that, you know, apprenticeship, like kind of just hopping in the work?
It's definitely just hopping in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I look back at my master's program and it was cute. You know, it was cute and expensive. But I remember my first job working in it, I was in the field. I was like, there's no class that could teach you this.
Got
You're either here because you want to be, and you learn on the go. My first job, they threw me in. And I was like, I ain't never did no press release and sent it out to 3,000 people. I've never did a coverage report. You know, it's specific formats that Amazon Prime, Hulu, CW wants to receive that in.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, I never did this before, but that's why you're on LinkedIn, because somebody got an example or a template up on there. That's why you're on Instagram and Twitter, because you're going to find it somewhere.
Yep.
And, you know, just, it's not really a class. Like, it's just something you have to want to do. You can't really fake the funk, you know?
Absolutely. How do you separate? Oh, no, we can clap. Absolutely, yeah. I love it. She like, you could clap, baby. You could clap. How do you separate like what you do from who you are?
I think I'm still figuring that out.
Okay.
To be honest. I think I work so much that I forget to like live life.
Yeah.
Like to be present. Like I'm making myself go to homecoming. I'm making myself go to a concert or, because I don't know, it's something about when I started working in LA, even over the weekend or downtime,
Yeah.
I'm like, how can I make this next week that I'm going into better than last week? Like,
Yeah.
I need to do a little bit more. I need to deliver better.
Gotcha.
But I have a good friend group, so they keep me balanced. And so it's definitely, as you get older, you realize not only who your friends are, but who keeps you grounded and keeps you focused on all aspects of life.
Yeah. Are there places where you can go to meet other publicists that are out here? And if so, if you got some favorites, we love names, or just spots. What would some of those be?
The Gathering Spot is one of my favorites. I've met endless people there, and it's led to other events and premieres. And Soho House. Oh, well, God, not for middle school and high school. What am I talking about? I don't know. I'm still new to LA.
Yeah.
Technically,
Yeah,
when it
yeah.
comes to, but I would think of like Girls and Boys Club. Is that here as well?
Yeah.
I would think of that. I would think of the YMCA.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where I was going.
They can start building those friendships and bonds.
Friendships and
already.
bonds, and then you never know from there because that won't hurt.
If you wanted to do that for say like I'm a young aspiring publicist and I have a friend who is going viral on social media, right? And full on an influencer. What should my pitch say? To my friend, my best friend at that time, like, hey girl, I think I know, what I could do or how I could serve you in this way.
I show and prove. I would pull whether you're like, my friend is doing, I'm trying to think. My friend is this girl and like really popular in high school, middle school.
Yep.
And I think she'll be perfect for this role on All American. And here's her TikTok, Instagram, website, LinkedIn. These are all her platforms to check out her work and why I think she would fit to be a part of this. Show and prove.
Yep. I mean, and that sounds great because a lot of times kids, we don't realize how we are invited into rooms just because of our parents or like the spaces and people that they know. So that's always like good stuff to tell people. And I would be, not telling the truth if I didn't open up this moment because I feel like there's a burning question coming from the audience. So we'll go ahead and open the floor.
What is your favorite part about your career?
What's my favorite part about my career? My favorite part about my career is working with people that look like me on the other side.
Yeah.
So like my friend that drove my car down here with me when I moved to LA, she's now, I remember we were like almost living together in Atlanta. And like we were talking about, we wanted to be in these roles we're in now. And then we somehow reconnected and like we both are working and living in LA.
Yeah.
Things and moments like that make me really, really proud. It makes me emotional because I'm like, whew, we went through times. We went through some times. Yeah. And to see her, acting and on all this stuff being booked, and then me on the publicity side of things, that makes me so excited. And it just makes me extremely grateful as a girl that, came from the south side of Chicago, didn't really know these opportunities are reachable for Black people and people of color. Moments like that are like, I feel like I kind of made it. Like, that makes me really, really excited.
What do you love about yourself?
What do I love about myself? That I don't give up. I know I'm not easily discouraged. I can encourage myself with just like my voice, thinking back on things that I've done to keep myself going. I know how to like set boundaries, say no, things like that come with growth, but excite me now where I am now.
What is your favorite thing when you was in Alabama?
What was my favorite thing when I was in Houston? Working in radio and college. And going to a historical Black college university also is still one of my favorite decisions that I've made. It was a culture shock for me because I was from Chicago, Midwest, and this was like completely Southern, never seen anything like it. And I literally am counting down the days to go back to Houston and go on campus and be around my people and, you know, not be a part of like at work where I'm like, it's 5 of us. That excites me to like no level.
What is your favorite part about the radio?
My favorite part about radio was interviewing. I used to do what Jael was doing like all the time.
This is only my second time though, so
Oh,
don't.
please. Interviewing. I really love interviewing talent. It made me realize that I wanted to go in publicity because I was really good with keeping relationships with different artists. A lot of the rappers that we hear now, I was like 17 interviewing them. And I run into them now, like in the TV side, and they're like, oh, you're grown up now. You know, you're not 17 interning. So interviewing was one of my favorite things when working in radio.
Hi. I first want to just say that I absolutely love your work ethic and how you express that and how you really explain that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So seeing that work ethic and aspiring to have that same energy for myself, I just want to ask you, how do you unwind, disconnect, and really nurture yourself after being plugged in and serving so many other people and things?
Yeah.
Very good question, because the jobs will drain you if you allow it. Every Monday through Thursday, I wake up at 5 a.m. and I work out. That was not something I looked forward to or wanted to do. I just knew it would help with like my anxiety. It would help with like just stress that I already know is to come when going to work. I've been like doing that now for 7-8 weeks, and it's really helped a lot. And just less traveling, because living in LA, I used to go home like every weekend, and I started just staying and accepting that, you know, I live in LA and I've been here for 3 years. I should probably stop going to Houston every weekend. But working out and just staying here and allow whatever comes up throughout the weekend, whether somebody's in town, wants to hang out, and not just becoming depressed or, you know, looking for Houston and everything in LA. Yeah.
How did your family feel about you being in the radio business?
That's a good question. My mom was not so excited. She thought it was a phase when I was growing up. She thought it was a phase for sure. But then when I started like becoming passionate and I really accepting that's not what she liked for me, but that's what I like, and I started like showing, improving to my mom, like I can actually have a career out of this. Like I can actually do something I love, not just something that's gonna make money. And it took her and my dad time to accept it and be okay with it. But that's the thing about parents, you know, they love us through good and learning lesson decisions, and they eventually catch on and come on and be on board.
Yeah. I gotta ask, who's the publicist for the publicist? You know what I'm saying? Like, cause I don't think people even knew like that was a
Thing.
Yeah.
The big dogs, the people, my boss. I admire my boss. Oh my God, it's nothing like having a good boss. It's the people that, you know, are going through different ways before they even figured out that was their thing.
Yeah.
You know, what I am learning is that a lot of publicists in film and TV, this was not their goal. This was not like something we all just knew existed.
Yep.
It's something that like came about, like my boss in radio was like, you're really good at making relationships. Have you ever thought about PR? I'm like, no, I haven't.
Yeah.
Like, what is that? No, literally, that was our conversation. Yeah. And then I started, like years later, a decade later, I started looking in like, oh, okay. Like, okay. But I don't know, because it's now publicity in beauty and fashion, in music, you know, in TV and film. It's endless opportunities.
Okay.
And even if it's not, we can create them and people will like put money behind our ideas.
Yeah.
That's like a dream.
And the fact that you're showing up in a space where we're not majority, right? Or
We're the minority, yeah.
Right, we're the minority. I think it's like, I don't know, it says something to your character, like it's bold.
Yeah.
You know? Like even your sweatshirt, protect Black people.
Oh yeah, and
it's
I wear
bold.
stuff like this to work.
See what
I am who I interviewed with. I'm the same person.
I mean, like it says something to who you are for real. Showing up in a space just as you are, and that's it. If you're watching this and you on your path, remember to just be you. Nobody in that space can be you, and nobody can be Megan Harper. Y'all give a round of applause for that.
Thank you.
Absolutely, thank you. Thank you.
This is amazing.
You made it easy for me.
Aww.
We will see y'all again on your path in the future. Bye.
Aphrodite, then discuss, her rapper messy colors. Na 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 na. Never become Christmas. I love Aphrodite, then discuss, her rapper messy colors. Na 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 na. Never become Christmas. I love it when you couscous. Love it when you couscous. Love it when you couscous. Couscous. Love it, 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 love it. I love it when you cook it. Love it, 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 love it.